when you're a kid and you think the Antichrist is coming, and I was having nightmares, I used to have this reoccurring dream, but looking back, you sit there and you go, that's pretty evil, isn't it? You know, if I can only tell you how many times me and my dad have cried on each other's shoulders, as men, as alpha male, strong fighting men.
So, kind of, in order to talk about what you've achieved and where you've got to, we kind of need to go back and delve into some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome in life. Let's start with Mallorca and the family moving to Mallorca. What was the reason behind that?
I just think my parents wanted a change of life. Didn't want to raise me and my brothers and sisters in the madness that was going on here. And it was probably the best decision they ever made.
Your parents were evangelical Christians, sent you to a school over there, kind of a fundamental school. Just for those who don't know, just paint a picture of what life was like.
Very blessed mum and dad. Blessed home, my family loved me and my kids. The life I lived was very not normal in terms of parents both retired, lived in a beautiful home, beautiful mansion, private school. Very heavily Christian, very religious. School was very extreme. Church, very extreme. So, yeah.
Extreme in what way? What were the kind of beliefs?
Just very extreme. The world was coming to an end. Every year it was repentance and on our hands and knees praying. The end times were near. It's frightening as a kid, for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine that quite at a young age, that's quite a traumatic thing to kind of have to go through.
It was very traumatic, extremely. Yeah, extremely. I mean, you know, waking up in the morning, not knowing whether, you know, the Antichrist is here. Yeah, it was just, I mean, growing up, it was just very, religious. You know, they believed I had demons in me as a kid, the school. And for me, that was really hard to sort of try and understand, because I sit there and I look back and I look at my son and I go, how could anyone think that there's anything wrong with you because you may be a little bit energetic, because you can't sit still in class, you know, to the point where they believe, you've got demons in you. And that was the hardest thing to sort of understand. And then you're sitting there going, well, what's wrong with me? Why me? Like, is there something wrong with me? You know, and as a kid, you're easily influenced by people in these positions of power. And actually looking back is actually very, because I don't really often sit down and reflect on it, but looking back, you sit there and you go, that's pretty evil, isn't it?
I mean, when you look back through adult eyes, did it feel a bit like a cult when you think back to what it was like?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, how can you have a kid think that, you know, a kid, I'm a child. How can you say to a child, you think you have demon? Well, they believe you're demon possessed. As a kid, I'm a kid. So in my head, I'm trying to look at, as an adult now, looking back, I look at my son and I go like, yeah, you got a lot of energy, boy. You know, he's on his quad bike, he's riding around, he's a lot. He's me. But how can anyone look at you and think and abuse their position of power in thinking that, you know, there's make you feel like there's something wrong with you? Not just for as a child, but it was an ongoing thing that I had to deal with into adulthood. And it was only until I got to maybe the age of 22, 23 that I sat down and thought, you actually need help in terms of trying to process that there's actually nothing wrong with you. You're actually all right. You're okay.
I mean, weren't you able to talk to your parents at the time to say, I'm struggling here, I'm a bit scared, and everything that's happening? No,
because you're not sure. My parents had, can't say necessarily believed the school, but, you know, you got to remember you got pastors in position of power that make you feel like maybe there is something wrong. I mean, they had me fooled because I thought there was something wrong with me.
So you moved to Australia. Obviously, everything, and in your teens, everything that happens kind of impacts on your personality. So if I had run into Conor Benn, 19 years old in Australia, what kind of person would I have met?
Troubled and angry. Yeah, I was confused. I think when you're going through the stage in life as well, you're going to be. I grew up in Spain. I was never Spanish. Now we've moved to Australia, but I'm not Australian. You know, so you sort of trying to find your identity and who you are, as well as being told that you got maybe possessed. But I can't say it's funny now, but when you're a kid and you think the Antichrist is coming, and I was having nightmares, I used to have this reoccurring dream, this reoccurring nightmare as a kid, and you just wake up petrified. And I'm going, and looking back now, I was just a kid. And I'm going, I shouldn't be having these dreams. I shouldn't have been having them dreams. I shouldn't have been having them fears. That Christmas was blasphemy, so we couldn't celebrate Christmas. Easter, like just everything was just a lot all the time. And looking back now, I don't want my kid to ever be raised through that. I want my kid to, and I'm a man of faith now still. So don't get me wrong. I don't think I've gone now the other way. I'm heavy in my faith. I'm a man who prays every single day. I ain't gonna let them take away from what I believe. And my son the same. For me, it's a matter of finding a church for my kids that I believe actually worship God, that actually, have the base and fundamentals of a Christian.
And I guess all this was to put a strain in your relationship with your old man at the time. How did you start to mend that? I understand, did this happen in Australia?
It did, yeah. 18, I got in trouble in Australia, and me and my dad never got on up until I was 18. And I got in trouble, and I thought, oh God, I've got to go home and tell my dad what's happened. And my dad gave me a hug and said, I love you, son, and we're going to get through this together. And instantly, me and my dad I realised my dad loved me.
I've been to your camps before,
Yeah.
and you have a great relationship with your dad. He is with you side by side.
Yeah.
How did you do that? After everything you've been through and the anger you would have felt, the fear you would have felt, the abandoned, I guess you may feel abandoned when you were a child, how did you actually were able to work through that?
It took some time. It took a lot of therapy from me to sort of forgive. And then it sort of hit another stage where I had my son. And then I'm looking at my son going, how could your dad believe that? Because no one could tell me nothing about my son. Nobody can say nothing to me about my son. And then, so that was another, it's just something I had to work through. And at the time, my dad was vulnerable with everything he had going on in his life. So I would have gone through everything I went through just to see my dad get the help he needed. Because now I look at my dad and I go, man, you're my hero. You're my hero. He was always my hero. But when you hit an age where you hit puberty, you're just like, yeah, I'm my own man now. And my dad's trying to give me words of advice. Maybe he didn't know how to communicate it to me. He was a disciplinarian. But I wouldn't be where I am without my dad because of the discipline he gave me. He didn't discipline none of the other kids like he disciplined me. But they obviously weren't destined for what I'm destined for. And our paths are completely different. And obviously I needed the discipline that he gave me. So how did we mend our relationship? Just being honest with each other, just sitting down, a lot of tears together. Me and my dad have cried hand in hand, cuddle to cuddle together, and we've both broken down, been vulnerable with each other. If I can only tell you how many times me and my dad have cried on each other's shoulders, as men, as alpha male, strong fighting men, how many times we've cried on each other's shoulders. And I think, us being vulnerable with each other.
And how important was he to you when you went through the difficulties in trying to clear your name after the adverse finding? How dark did it get, and how important was having him fight through it with you?
I couldn't have done it without my dad. Even though we were both sinking together, really. We were both struggling together. My dad weren't even in a position to help me. I think just having my dad present reminded me of the strength that I have. I'm my father's son. We've both been through things. He's been through things in his life, and he come through and he was resilient and he was strong, and that's what he taught me. The amount of times I come home just sobbing, just when I mean sobbing, like a little child, like my little 4-year-old son would to me when he's hurt himself, or just coming home sobbing on my dad's shoulder crying, just going, Dad, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I can make it through, but I can't make it through. And he was there. He was that for me. And he's my dad is, he's mad, but I look at him and I just go, Dad, you're Chris, you're everything to me. He's my hero, man.
And obviously the British public had an opinion about you, but you seem to have changed opinions, largely, I think, by the way things went in that fight, because it was an incredible performance, incredible show of bravery. How important was it for you to win people over after everything that happened with the adverse finding?
Listen, some people love me, some people are going to hate me. You know, one day they love you, one day they hate you, one day they love you, one day they hate you again. You know, it's life. You know, I ain't going to always do everything right. I'm not always going to be able to please everybody. For as long as I am who I am and I stand strong on what I believe and what I'm me as a man, you ain't always going to like me. I ain't going to sit there and be neutral. I ain't going to sit there and go, be, you know, just be generic, just be vanilla. I ain't be vanilla, I'll be who I am. I don't live in a world where I can't be myself. Fraud. I'll be in a world where I'll be who I want to be in the world I want to be. Ultimately, this is who I am. Love it or hate me. It's okay. They would hate.
In terms of giving everything, as I say, you put in a tremendous performance in that first fight. But it takes two to tango. You both went somewhere that not many people will go. You shared something really special that night. How do you feel about Chris, having been through that with him? Because he brought something out of you, you brought something out of him.
Yeah, I mean, it pains me to say it, but you got to give credit where credit is, and you got to take my hat off to Chris, because I couldn't have done it without him. I can't do it without him, because he brings it out in me. And it takes two to tango. And no one's given me that fight to date, whether it be former world champions, whether it be veterans of the game, whether it be, stepping stones or step-up fight. No one's gave me that sort of fight. I'm going to have the pleasure of punching him in the face again, November 15th, and hopefully we create something spectacular again.
Do you understand Chris better? Because you always said in the past, you're one of the few people who understand him because you've been through what he's been through. Famous dad, world champion dad, pressure of trying to live up to dad. You're never going to be as good as dad, all the comparisons they make. But you're one person who knows all about that. So do you kind of have sympathy for him in that respect?
No, we don't have that sympathy in this game. No, I ain't got no sympathy for him at all. He chose to do it. I choose to do it. I don't expect no sympathy from nobody. What do you think? Expect a pat on the back? From who? Who's going to give me a pat on the back? Do you know what I mean? We chose to walk in this. But I do understand you, because it ain't nice. It's not nice when you're doing the hardest sport in the world, getting your head punched in Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then doing it again on fight night, still facing backlash and criticism for being silver spooned. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Do you want me to tell you what silver spoon looks like? That's pouncing off my dad in his mansion in Australia, with all my other siblings, by the way, having shrimps on the old barbie, not having to go to work, just living off my dad's readies. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? But no, I choose to come here, leave my family behind, deal with the pressure, deal with not just the pressure of having a famous dad, the pressure to perform well, the pressure to perform and give the fans what they deserve, what they feel like they expect, to just be the best fighter I can possibly be. And that still not be enough. It blew my mind. It took me years and years and years to understand I will actually never be good enough for you lot. Why? I'm doing my best. I'm a kid who's trying his hardest to be my dad, because he's my idol, he's my hero. I'm trying to be like my dad, and you're getting knocked down and constantly not good enough. No matter how hard you give, no matter you're giving 100%, giving 110, and that's just not good enough to some people, and that was sort of something hard to wrap my head around. So yeah, I get it, Chris. I get it, Chris. I've been there, and very few fathers' sons make it in the sport for that reason alone.
A final one for you. Your dad had a very bitter rivalry with Chris's dad.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that they can sit together now without having an argument, but they get on. They've done shows together. 20 years from now, are you and Chris going to sit down together and be doing shows together and be cordial?
First off, it's very turbulent with my dad and Senior, by the way. I don't think it's smooth sailing. It's very turbulent. Listen. Yeah, Chris is a strange guy, man. He's a strange guy. I can't even lie about it. I learnt to like him. I've learnt to like him in his weirdness, because he's weird. But there's no problem that he's weird, because there's weird people out there. And, you know, everyone's different. And he's different. But then he would say I'm different. He would say I'm maybe an angry little man. I think he's a weird geezer. But maybe one day I'll just give him a handshake and say, Chris, well done, mate. We made a fortune together. And we killed it. We gave the public 2 hell of a fights. And who knows, maybe in 20 years' time we'll do Q&A, sit down together, over a 3-course meal, get paid handsomely for it, who knows.